A UFO is said to be imitating a star in this clip recorded over Tennessee. The video was recorded on a night camera just after midnight. A nice clear sighting for a change. The video lasts 10 minutes in total, so the clip has been sped up. 3 individual points of light float over a Disneyland show. Each light appears to have independent movement, so we can rule out a triangular-shaped craft. This can be seen better with stabilization. What some have described as a turtle shell-shaped UFO was captured over Turkey. Here's some background information and opinions the OP added to his post. A reader from Poland who was vacationing in Turkey wrote to me, while relaxing on the beach, she decided to use a feature of her iPhone 13 Pro Max that allows taking a series of quick photos. I believe this is one of the best pictures of a UAP object I have ever seen. These photos were taken on June 20th, 2023. It is not a water droplet or a thrown stone, as we considered such options. It is also not a camera error. This object was not visible to the naked eye. Though interesting, a single image captured of an unclear object on Earth is not all that remarkable. They certainly can be, but for the most part, the majority have feasible explanations. On Mars, however, the same cannot be said. Over the past decade, the Curiosity rover has photographed what looks to be objects in the Martian skies. Obviously, with this planet being completely void of life, it's hard to imagine what these anomalies could be. These images are available on NASA's website, and you can still look them up yourself. 2 of the anomalies are very similar in shape and could potentially be the same object at different distances. An interesting comparison was made to the gimbal UFO, and I have to say the objects do look eerily similar. Spotted during a hike in South Africa, 2 UFOs described as tic-tac shaped were recorded off in the distance.
No, this is not a reflection. This is an object flying. That's incredible.
The second object is a little harder to see. It becomes much more apparent with some stabilization.
不对，那不是。你过来看，你过来看，你在镜头里看。它真的是 UFO。
The brief video is due to the witness having to run from a rainstorm. Since the objects didn't appear to move, some speculated that it could be reflections from buildings.
哎，这绝对这。
After finding the area on Google Maps and having a good scan for any structure that could be the cause, I was unable to find anything. However, the area did have a few large pools of water that could have created a similar effect, but can't really say for sure. Now, this footage I quickly dismissed as highly likely to be a drone, so I wasn't even going to include it. But after some surface-level research, from what I've learned, enclosed drones are unable to operate in this way, since they need to displace the air underneath them to achieve lift. Simply put, spherical objects shouldn't be able to move like this. At certain points of the clip, the orb can be seen flashing sporadically, almost as if it's surveying the area. Unfortunately, its movements aren't anywhere near as impressive as other accounts we've heard regarding orbs. No 3,000 mph right-hand turns here, but a great sighting nonetheless. In the wake of this month's NASA UFO study, Gary McKinnon, the man that hacked NASA computers back in 2002, reinforms us that NASA will never tell us the truth about aliens. Gary claims to have seen thousands of images that prove advanced alien life is very active throughout our solar system. Within the hacked files were spreadsheets detailing off-world non-terrestrial officers, images that show detailed cigar-shaped crafts, and what are assumed to be habitable domes located in Earth's orbit. In a direct quote, Gary stated, "It's a fact that there are objects we don't understand flying around in our skies. It's also a fact that there are scientific, intelligence, and military departments that study these objects." Information gathered also helped to reinforce claims made a year prior to the hack by ex-NASA photographic expert Donna Hare.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Donna Hare, and I worked at Spherical Ford Aerospace from 1967 to 1981. During that time, I was a design illustrator, draftsman for NASA. We were a contractor, but most of the time I worked on site, in Building 8. I had the opportunity to do extra work during downtime, and I walked into a photo lab, which was the NASA lab across the hallway. I had a secret clearance, which is not that high, but I was able to go into restricted areas, which this was. At the time, I was talking to one of the techs in there, and he drew my attention to a photograph, a NASA photograph. It had a dot on it, and I said, "What is that?" And I said, "Is that a dot on the emulsion?" And he said, and he's smiling, and he has his hands crossed, and he said, "Round dots on the emulsion don't leave round shadows on the ground." I did not know what this was. I asked him, "What are you going to do with this piece of information?" And he said, "We always airbrush these out before we sell them to the public." I'm willing to testify before Congress that what I'm saying is true, and thank you very much.
During the hack, Gary made sure to investigate her claims further. This is what he had to say about his findings. A NASA photographic expert said that there was a Building 8 at Johnson Space Center where they regularly airbrushed out images of UFOs from the high-resolution satellite imaging. I logged on to NASA and was able to access this department. They had huge, high-resolution images stored in their picture files. They had filtered and unfiltered or processed and unprocessed files. A warrant is still active for Gary's arrest. If he's ever caught by U.S. authorities, he will be sentenced to roughly 70 years. You've probably heard by now about the Mexican alien story that went viral last month. If you didn't, a brief summary is that, quote, alien bodies were claimed to have been found inside a Peruvian mine. The bodies were rolled out at a UFO meeting and then subjected to DNA testing and CT scans to figure out if they were real. There's a lot of debate surrounding the authenticity of these bodies, with the common consensus being that the bodies are most likely a hoax. The whole case is too detailed to go over in this video. So if you'd like to hear more, I'll leave a link in the description to the video I made that gets into the weeds of it. A somewhat decent month of sightings, lots for us to deliberate over. But sadly, nothing exceptional. I feel I may have gone a little hard on the speculation, but I think honest analysis is important. We want real sightings, and the only way to get them is to filter out the explainable. Anyway, that's it for this month. Thanks for watching.